Disgusting! Nasty secrets of Imperial Chinese concubines. You might think that being the concubines of the Emperor of China was a dream come true. You would live in a palace, wear beautiful clothes, and enjoy the emperor's favor. But you would be wrong. Behind the glamour and the glory, there was a dark side to their existence. What horrors did they face? What secrets did they hide? How did they survive? What were the nasty secrets of Imperial Chinese concubines? Let's find out. The Chinese Ming Dynasty was a really long-lasting period, going on for 276 years from 1368 to 1644 AD. People say it was one of the best times for having a well-organized government and stable society in all of history. This dynasty became super powerful on a global level. But, there's always another side to things. Even though the Ming Dynasty was praised for its stability and smart ideas, there were some pretty dark and scary things going on too. Behind all the good stuff, there were some not so nice things happening. In the summer of 1424, when Ming Emperor Yongle passed away, he gave 30 concubines in the royal harem a special piece of silk cloth. It was blood red and square-shaped. This meant that these 30 concubines were his favorites among all the others in the harem. But it also meant something sad. They were expected to die after the emperor. The Ming emperors were really mean to the concubines. Some emperors had a crazy number of concubines, like 9,000. Many of these women were taken from their homes and locked up in fancy places. They couldn't leave, except when the emperor wanted them. And there was this terrible thing called foot binding, which made it hard for the women to walk. So they had to be carried, naked, to the emperor's room. It was just awful. In ancient China, the emperor's palace was a majestic place filled with mysteries waiting to be unraveled. Deep within its opulent walls resided the emperor's women, known as concubines. They lived a life of honor and privilege, but also encountered competition and hidden plots. These remarkable women had a specific order in the palace, with the Empress reigning supreme in the highest position. However, this arrangement could change whenever a new emperor ascended the throne. Depending on the ruler, there could be many or only a few concubines. What makes their world even more fascinating is how they showcased their ranks to others. It was like having their very own secret code, and the key to this code was color. The utensils they used and the clothes they adorned themselves with served as hidden languages, revealing their social status. The higher their rank, the more stunning and opulent the colors they flaunted. Some concubines were surrounded by bright and beautiful colors, like shining gold and striking scarlet. They enjoyed wonderful things every day, like delicious feasts and fancy clothes fit for royalty. But behind this dazzling appearance, their lives were filled with stories of ambition, competition, and hidden desires. Among all the grandness and splendor, these exceptional women left their own special mark on history's fabric. The process of selecting imperial concubines was an exciting one, depending on who was in control. Back in the Ming era, it was almost mandatory for all young, unmarried females about 13 to 16 years old to be a part of this selection, unless they were already married or had serious health concerns. But then, when the Qing dynasty took over, they got a bit more specific. They only went for females from the 8 banner families, which were mostly made up of Manchurians and Mongolians. The criteria they used to choose these concubines were pretty intense. They checked out their looks, physical health, and skills, basically everything. They even considered how well they served the emperor's mother during the Qing dynasty. It's like a whole different ballgame for each dynasty. In ancient China, being a concubine was a complicated thing. The emperor ranked them based on how much he liked them. Some concubines were treated almost like wives, while others were treated poorly, like prostitutes. If a concubine had a child, her situation could improve a bit, but her children wouldn't be as important as the emperor's legitimate kids. There was this one lady called Consort Wu, and she was Emperor Zhuzhong's favorite concubine. She was really beautiful and rose to the highest rank a concubine could have. When the emperor's wife passed away, everyone in the palace treated her like an empress. But not all concubines were as lucky as Consort Wu. If they couldn't have kids, life got tough for them. It wasn't easy being a concubine. The emperors kept the concubines with them in a place called the Forbidden City. By the time of the Ming Dynasty, there were about 20,000 concubines. They had lots of eunuchs, castrated men, guarding them to make sure they couldn't get pregnant by anyone else but the emperor. Some stories say that concubines were taken by force and sold into this life, but not always. In some cases, families would present their daughters to the ruler, hoping they'd be chosen as concubines. It was a way for them to get rid of an extra mouth to feed and also give their daughter a better life with comfort, privilege, and protection. The daily life of a concubine in the Forbidden City. Life as a concubine in the Forbidden City was filled with danger, luxury, and force. It was a mix of pleasure and punishment. These women lived in a lonely and depressing way. The selection process to become a favored concubine was harsh and cruel. Many women wanted to be chosen, especially those that had not faced a difficult life in the harem. In the olden days, there were rules and rankings among the concubines, and they were super serious about guarding their positions. They would compete and argue a lot, which made life far from pleasant. When they served in the palace, concubines couldn't talk to anyone outside, not even a doctor if they got sick. They had to describe their illness, and someone else would get medicine for them. Sometimes, a concubine got the chance to leave the palace as a gift to a foreign ruler. But some people argue that it was like moving from one prison to another. After many years of service, some consorts could go back to their families with a pension. They were free to live a normal life, get married, or become nuns. Others who were too old for palace life could work as maids. The sad part was that the ruler treated the consorts as his own property. He could do whatever he wanted to them, even take them to the afterlife. In old tombs, they found the remains of several women close to one man, suggesting they were concubines. Some were executed or chose to end their lives in a really sad way. At the beginning of the Ming Dynasty, concubines were sometimes sacrificed and buried near the deceased emperor. In some cases, they were buried alive, waiting for the emperor in the afterlife. Some rose up and gained influential power. The most well-known example would be the Empress Wu Zetian. She became an imperial concubine at the age of 14 and later ruled China at 66 for 15 years. The nasty truth in Empress Wu Zetian's story is her brutal approach to dealing with rivals and threats. She didn't hesitate to resort to killing to eliminate those she saw as a challenge to her power. This ruthless behavior paints a dark picture of her reign, where her opponents face deadly consequences. However, amidst the bloodshed and fear, there's another side to her legacy. Despite her cruel methods, Empress Wu Zetian also implemented significant changes that positively impacted the company. It's a conflicting narrative, showing how a powerful ruler can use both force and transformation to shape their rule. The secrets of Imperial Chinese concubines reveal a dark and disturbing aspect of history. The cruel hierarchy, fierce competition, and lack of freedom these women endured are truly shocking. The treatment they face as mere property of the rulers is utterly disgusting and highlights the need for progress in respecting human rights and equality. Did you find yourself shocked by the dark secrets and brutal truths of the lives of Imperial Chinese concubines? Let us know in the comments section. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the follow, like, and subscribe button. Stay tuned for more amazing content.